Good morning. Welcome in, Sarah. Welcome in, Vante. I expected you to stream an hour later. Yeah, I suppose the time change means that everything is off a little bit. We lost an hour, I think. Yeah, we lost. No. Yeah, we lost an hour. My goodness, I don't know. Time isn't real. We lost an hour. We lose an hour in spring, and then we gain an hour in fall. So I'm now on time with a couple of friends who are in the United States. But for everyone else, I'm now an hour different from what I normally would be. But it is 11 for me. Once again, I trusted OBS to update, and it ruined everything again. I need to just not let it update. I need to just prevent it from updating. Because every time I let it update, it always breaks everything that I have. So I had to scramble to fix it. It wouldn't even let it's not letting Twitch work right now. And I just can't be bothered to fix it at the moment, so I will hopefully fix it for next stream. You don't do daylight savings. I don't like daylight savings. I wish we did do it, but I don't make the rules. I just follow them. What a menacing dark shadow. That's what they call them. But yes. I'm not really sure how much detail I'm going to put on him. Because I kind of like the idea of him just being a silhouette. But at the same time, he does technically have his halo, and that does emit light, so there should be like a little bit of light. That's a horrible arrow. Should be a little bit of light kind of coming forward from that, kind of over his shoulders, but I don't know. We'll see if he stays a silhouette or not. Is that Cyril? Yes, it is. Welcome in, Victoria. How are you today? But yes, it's Cyril. That's why he's only got the one eyeball. Hi Babel, how are you? Clicky clack ASMR. You can hear this keyboard. I think this keyboard's a little bit louder than my other keyboards. This one's new. I just got it in relatively recently. I'm enjoying it. It's a nice pale green, and green is one of my favorite colors, so I'm very pleased. voice fry you've got on today. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. The sooner March is over, the better. That's okay. I'm hoping the end of the month solves my problem, but we'll see. I also don't know if he's going to have. So right now, I've just. It's the vibes. The vibes of his cassock are present, but I haven't decided if he is going to have his stole or anything like that, or if I'm just going to keep it to cassock. Oh, Bab, I'm sorry to hear that. Question about Cyril: if he ever falls in love, would he be a stalker or a normal guy who's into flirting? ¿Por qué no los dos? He'd be a little column A, a little column B. Cyril is a hopeless romantic at heart, but he's also unstable. We'll see if I keep that little extra bit of fabric there or not. I'm not sure if that's going to stay. I like the idea of the silhouette mostly being that direction. So most of the fabric that you see is on this side rather than this side. I'll think about it. Sorry for bothering. Please have automatic captions for the stream in a public place, and I want to read the conversation. I will see if I'm able to add that. I've never done that before, so I'll have to make sure that I can set it up, but I will give that a try. Is YouTube gonna get mad at me if I give her, like, her lower body? That's his halo. There she is. Sorry you're not doing well today. I appreciate the stream. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I looked in my settings and I'm not able to toggle on closed captions right now. Maybe I have to do that before I go live. The option is grayed out for me though, so I can't put them on for this stream, but I will do that in the future if I'm able to. Take care of yourself, Dia, and don't overwork. I will try my best. Unfortunately, it sounds like my boss wants to give me a promotion at work, which I am not super excited about. Technically, I suppose it's a good thing, but I don't want to take on more responsibility than I already have at work right now. Especially because it would mean having to go to all those leadership summits. Ugh. Usually draw Bronte from the profile, so I'm trying to do this from memory, which is not how you should be doing this. Do as I say, not as I do. She doesn't have a super sharp nose. She has like a nice little rounded nose. It's very cute. It's smaller than that. It's closer. She's still onto that idea. So I already got one promotion. I was promoted late-ish last year, and that's why I've been so busy. Basically, if you're not familiar with corporate America, allow me to demonstrate through interpretive dance. Let's see. My company does not. Okay, here. Let me give you the context of this. So, in corporate America, which I imagine would apply to corporations elsewhere, but in this case, we're talking about America. And you come in. You're usually what's called an associate. That's like the lowest level employee, entry level employee. So that's the level you come in at. And you can go up usually to senior, or sometimes be a team lead. Then from there, your next step would be supervisor. And then from your supervisor, go to manager. My company doesn't have supervisors because they don't want to pay people to be supervisors. So they just don't have that role. It doesn't exist. So a senior or a team lead, but in my case, I'm considered a senior. You are basically a supervisor. You're just not paid as much. This is a gross oversimplification, but you get the idea. They don't have supervisors, so they don't have to pay people more. They keep you at a senior role, but you have supervisor responsibilities. What my boss wants to do, because I was promoted to senior late-ish last year, if memory serves. What my boss wants to do, because there's a whole bunch of shuffling and people are moving around, and I'm not going to get into that. My boss wants to do is, because the supervisor role doesn't exist, she wants to create a little offshoot, and she wants to make me an assistant manager, which I don't know how much they would pay me for that. I don't think the role exists. But she basically wants to, in effect, make me a supervisor. It's just that role doesn't exist. So her workaround is to try and make me an assistant manager, which I'm already technically considered quote-unquote leadership because I'm not an associate. But going up to assistant manager would kind of put me, obviously not at a manager level because that's what my boss is, but it would put me higher up in the sense of I'd be expected to do a lot more I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen anyway, so I'm not necessarily worried about it, but I also don't want it right now. It's been difficult enough for me to manage my workload as a senior, and I don't necessarily want to... I don't necessarily want that level of responsibility. At least not right now. I know obviously I should be trying to get that role because it's job stability and it's more pay and it's, you know, it's good for the resume, yada yada yada. But I don't want to do that right now. But like I said, I don't think it's gonna happen anyway, because my understanding is that excuse me. My understanding is that at my company, you cannot be promoted more than once within a single year. So I will need to be a senior and working at that level with, you know, good reviews and so on. I will need to be working at that level for a full year before the company even considers promoting me to whatever role they may or may not choose. So I don't think it's gonna happen. I think I'm safe, but I don't know. Nothing at my company is really set in stone. It's all very... they fly by the seat of their pants. So we'll see. I've read about American company supervisors in a book. Yeah, supervisors are usually the ones that make your life a living hell. But we don't have them. At least not in my specific team. Other areas of the company have supervisors where supervisors are needed for their particular roles. But my specific, we are back-end office. We are not front-facing. So we just don't have any. We need them. We desperately need them. That's why my boss wants to promote me to assistant manager, but yeah. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm already stretched thin as it is. I'm sure I feel it more at the moment because of how sick I feel, but the concept still applies. We'll see how it goes. You seriously need to work for a Dutch company. Her hair is going to be dark later. It's light right now, so I can see what I'm doing. Auntie did not go get her hair bleached since the last time you saw her. still haven't decided if she's going to... So she could have her eyes completely open and kind of looking up like that. Or she could have her eyes just kind of relaxed, just kind of looking front. Or she could just have her eyes completely closed. I haven't really decided what she's going to be doing yet. The supervisor was trying to be worker-oriented. They rioted. One may never be too forgiving with human folk. Yeah, my boss is a little bit too forgiving to people that she shouldn't be very forgiving of, and I end up being the one who kind of nudges people to be held accountable and all that, which is not fun. I would like to think that I've established good rapport with the people that I work with. But also, if you're just like clocking out and taking a nap for 4 hours, like, yeah, we need you to be here and be part of the team. Rotting Beach, hello, welcome in. How are you doing today? Can Cyril love someone genuinely, or is this simply not possible? Cyril can love people genuinely. He loves his mother. Genuinely. But he would consider it to be genuine. I'm sure Cyril feels genuine emotion, but how he expresses that emotion may not necessarily be therapist approved. These ears really aren't that long, but they're really cute. I always end up making her ears a little bit longer than they really are, just because I think it looks so cute. Wondering about redrawing one of my OC art from 2024. Sounds like a good idea. Do it. I love doing redraws of stuff a couple years later. I think that's a really fun thing. How are you doing? I'm hanging in there. I'm very sick this month due to some medicine shenanigans. I am not responding well to medication, but I have to keep taking it, so I don't feel very good, but other than that, I'm fine. Taking a nap. What the hell? If she closes her eyes, it might seem like she's enjoying it. It's true. That's true. Yeah, we've got someone on the team that is working with my boss at the moment who, as I have perceived, frankly, seems to be a little bit of a chronic liar, and just no one has held the person accountable, so she just keeps doing it. And now it's kind of fallen into my boss's lap, because she just will kind of up and decide, hi, I'm gonna go take a nap, I'll be back at 2:30, and then she just logs off of her computer, even though there's a bunch of time-sensitive work that needs to be done. that she's the only person who can do it. And then she doesn't come back until 3:30, a full hour later than what she said, and then says, "Oh, sorry, that was a typo. I meant 3:30." Like, you, this is ridiculous. We need you here. You're the person responsible for this report. No one else knows how to do it. And basically what's happened is that I've been taking on her work because she's not reliable enough to do it. And I am. So that's fun. I love doing other people's jobs because they just decide that they're gonna go take a nap. This is just not it. So it'd be neat to fix the art. I hope you feel better. Thank you. I appreciate that. Really have a pronounced brow ridge, but I think it's fine. I think if I just bring her I can speak words, forehead out a little bit, I think that'll help. Looks more like her. Obviously, she'll also feel more like herself once her hair is like properly. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing with her hair. I don't know if it's going to be like in front of her face. I don't know if she's going to be wearing her veil or anything. I haven't really decided on that yet. I'm so crazy. She needs to be fired immediately. Someone should call her out. My company, as far as I can tell, is very, very gun shy about firing people. Probably for litigious reasons. It's just the way it is, I suppose. But yeah, it's been basically due to some shuffling that's happening. We have different regions, and I work in the West region, but I'm also now helping my boss with Central, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole bunch of nuance there. You guys don't need to know to get the gist of this. But I'm the senior for the West region, so my work is on the West accounts. This other person who's acting this way is the senior for the Central accounts, and she's been the senior there for years, I believe. I've been in my position for less than a year, and already I am taking over her responsibilities because she's just not doing them, and she's handed off certain pieces of work that she's supposed to be responsible for to other people on her own accounts. And I'm about to kind of elbow my way in there and start fixing it. Now, to be clear, I don't want anyone to lose their job, not in this economy, but some people really should be fired. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how I would feel if I took on her role and they realized, oh, we're paying this person and they're not even doing their job, and then they let her go. I don't know if I would feel guilt over that based off of her behavior. I probably should, but I don't know that I would, because I think her behavior is unacceptable. But anyway, that's one of the adventures I'm dealing with at work. That particular individual creates a whole lot of adventures for me to figure out. Kind of see that I planned on her hair being kind of messy. I don't know. We'll see kind of what I want to do. I'm not sure if she's going to be wearing her veil or not. I feel like Cyril would probably try to get her veil off. Because he's a pervert. I bet he wants to look at her ankles too. Disgusting. I don't understand whether Bronte enjoys it or if she's scared of him. Porque no los dos. Bronte is very confused about how she's supposed to feel. And Cyril likes that. Because he's a very nice man. Being irresponsible and shameless seems like, yeah, no kidding. I'm always hyper aware of how I act and present myself at work. And I can't imagine being that avant-garde about it. She clearly does not, she's clearly not worried at all about her job being in jeopardy, or else she wouldn't be acting this way. My boss is just kind of, obviously because I'm taking on some of the roles of this person because she's so unreliable, so obviously I'm aware of certain things, but my boss has just shared like little interactions that she has with this person, and I'm sitting there screaming at my boss, you need to write this person up. You have to write her up. You can't just keep letting her get away with this kind of behavior. She's clearly gotten away with it for years. She gets fired due to her own actions, then you have nothing to feel guilty about, but I get it. It's hard to get a job these days. Yes, and the work that I do by default, so I work in QA. The work that I do, by nature of what it is, impacts people's jobs. That's the way that it is. I work for a healthcare vendor, so I am constantly running audits on employee performance. Things like whether they're adhering to HIPAA expectations, whether they're handling private information properly. And if I find an instance where someone is not handling that information appropriately, or it could be a security concern, and so on. I have to report those things, and that sort of information can cost someone their job if they're not doing the right thing. So I'm not unfamiliar with potentially being responsible for whether or not someone keeps their job, which is why I take what I do very seriously. But yeah, my God, this person is just so shameless. She just is like, oh, I'm gonna go take a nap, and then just leaves. She's outsourced some of her work to people who should not be doing it because they don't have the appropriate leadership level to do what they need to be doing. She's just refusing to do certain work and just citing excuses of like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I've never been trained. And I'm sitting here like, congratulations, you're about to be trained and you're gonna do it, whether you like it or not. I'm not her boss, I don't get to make that decision. But if someone was whining to me like that, it's like, you're either gonna do what you're told because that's literally what your job is for, or we're gonna find someone else who is willing to do the work. And for some reason, I don't know, they just... It's crazy. I can't imagine ever behaving that way at work. I think she's confused about his intentions. I think so. I think Bronte wants to understand Cyril. She really does. But I think she's also, well, I know she's intimidated by Cyril for obvious reasons. There's a lot to their dynamic in that sense of her being what she is, and he being a vampire hunter, and him being Archbishop, and she's just a novice. There's a whole lot of dichotomy there between the two of them. And I think she really admires and wants to understand him. She's very envious of the faith that he has, which is understandable considering that she's lived her whole life kind of surrounded by this faith and just feels like such an outsider. But she's also very afraid of what she might find if she gets closer to all of that. And I don't think she necessarily wants to know to an extent. She kind of likes being able to hide from certain things. Ankles. Because she knows she can get away with it. Next time, don't do any of her work. Oh, sweetheart, no, that's not how it works, unfortunately. So, the sort of work that she does, the sort of reports that she has to do, they're attached to what are called SLAs, or service level agreements, which are contractual obligations with your client. If you do not do them, your company is fined, sometimes in up to millions of dollars, for failing to meet their service level agreements. So it's the whole account that suffers for the whole company. So not getting certain things done is just not an option. And unfortunately, there are stipulations in employment contracts, which we're not contractors, we are at-will employees, but we still function with contracts, obviously. There are stipulations that if you specifically as an employee are responsible for failing an SLA, they can pull money from your paycheck to cover the fines. But they're not going to do that. They're very gun shy about that. So, unfortunately, it's just not going to play out that way. But we'll see what happens. Some of your colleagues dare to say you're not doing your job properly. Yep. Yep. We have someone else who decided that she does not like me, which is totally fine. No one's obligated to like me, but she's a particularly vindictive individual, I think is the word that I would use. And she's been saying all sorts of nasty things about me and claiming that I'm not reliable. But I'm happy to report that as of late, I have swayed her. I have swayed her opinion of me. She's not shit-talking me as much anymore. So, that's good. She still is what I would consider to be a negative impact on our team. But at least fortunately now she's not really slandering me the way that she was. So I'll take what I can get. But I still disagree with a lot of her methods, I think is the proper word. On my old job, we got training just too short by a person that spoke broken language of my country. So my boss got mad at us and not the person when we didn't know how to do something. That's so frustrating. Yes, my boss showed us and I didn't take it too seriously. But yeah, so fun fact, I didn't get any training. I haven't received any training at all from my current company. All of my knowledge and all of my operating prowess, shall we say, comes from a previous employer before this one. And I actually have been informally, because the way that my company works is there is a dedicated training team and training department. So you're not, quote unquote, supposed to train people. You're supposed to have one of the professional trainers train them. But I have just been training people on my own team based off of the knowledge that I have from my own previous employer, because my previous employer used some of the same systems, so I know how to use those systems. But yeah, it's all a mess. Good old corporate shenanigans. What a stressful environment to work at. You're strong for enduring everything there. Because there's no alternative. Endurance is the only option, but that's okay. I get paid okay for the work that I do. and I have a reasonable level of job security, which is really all I care about. I will put up with anything as long as I keep my job, because my last job I was laid off from, and I never want to go through that again. I also don't know what clothes she should be wearing, so we can just pretend that she's got clothes on. I was thinking of, let me see if I can. What I really need to do eventually is make a chain brush for Cyril's chain whip, because it's supposed to, it's like a normal, quote unquote normal chain. Be like oval-y shape. And then that's very rough, but you get the idea. So that's like a normal chain shape, but Cyril's diamonds. They're little diamonds, and actually, technically, if he wants to, he can make them like get little thorny bits on them. He doesn't do that very often, but it's technically something he can do, because the little sharp diamondy bits didn't hurt enough, so technically he can add little thorns to them. But I do need to make like a brush so I can just go and it'll give me the whole chain, so I don't have to draw it link by link. But anyway, I'm also not exactly sure where I'm going to crop this either, because you can see that I didn't well, you can't barely see that, but whatever. Down here, where Cyril ends, I didn't keep drawing it because I'm planning to crop it probably somewhere here-ish. I'm not really sure where I'm going to crop it. Basically, I thought it'd be cool if we have like stuff. It's going to be like going behind her probably, but I'm not sure if it's going to be like going around her as well. I haven't really thought that far ahead. I'm glad your boss is fond of you, though. Her opinion matters the most. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's kind of part of why the shenanigans are happening with this other person, because my boss currently is the West Region manager, and I work on the West Region. But my boss is being moved to the Central Region, and that's why she's got that new problem employee, because seniors are assigned by region, not by manager. So my boss is leaving, and I'm gonna have a new boss. And my boss, instead of working with me, is going to have to use that other person, the one who takes naps and just decides that she's not going to do her job. So I don't really know how that's going to go. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because my boss has been advocating for me a lot, but that's also why she really wants to make me assistant manager, because she wants me to be able to work with her on the central region and on the west region. Because if I leave west region, it's gonna fall apart. People need me there to do the work that I do, because without me, it will fall apart. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Don't really know what's going to come of that, because again, they can't, even if my boss was able to magically get what she wants, which I don't think she can, they can't promote me within a year. So we'll see. Because I'm adding the gold of the chains, that makes me think, well, see, this is the thing. I never know if I want Cyril to be like a complete silhouette, or if I'm going to show like the various little gold bits. I'm gonna use my other brush for this actually. Mostly we would have this little cross. I guess maybe his buttons. Dang it. Go enjoy your pizza. Pizza sounds really good. I haven't had anything to eat yet. I didn't even have my coffee. I'm out of coffee, which is truly, truly a shame. Might go a little bit crazy and go get some lunch after this, because I don't really feel like having anything that I have here. Yeah, I don't know if I would want to do. That's not accurate. Cyril's cross always attaches to the fourth button down, so that's how I count these. He has 9 buttons total, and the cross goes on the fourth one down. Like all these other bits. It always becomes a question of how much detail I want to input. And well, yeah, and then he's got like the other little bits that hang off of his cassock. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to include those or not. You got a new pack of coffee recently, so I have. Let me see. I finished my bag of, I think it's called Verve coffee. I have a little coffee subscription that delivers coffee to me, but I believe they're still roasting my coffee, so it hasn't actually shipped yet. Okay, well, it has shipped. I didn't realize that it already shipped. What is this? It is Toketi? Toketi? I'm not sure how to pronounce that brand name, but anyways. My next specialty coffee is on the way. It should be here tomorrow. So that's exciting. But for today, that means I have to do something different for coffee. Not a sneaky detail. And then I guess I don't really plan to give him like a whole lot of hair detail. Like a little bit. I'll do a little bit, but most of Cyril's hair is on like the back of his head, so you wouldn't really see it from this angle because I've put his little all-seeing eyeball. I've put that facing pretty much head on, but you know, you'd be able to see like a little bit his hair up top. And you would be able to see his ears a little bit, so give him the little peanuts. Peanuts is how one of my artist instructors when I was growing up told us to think of ears, think of them as peanuts. I always think of that when I grow ears now. And I guess like, yeah, you'd maybe be able to see like the little ponytail thing, but even that, it's probably just going to be like resting against his neck. You're probably not really going to see it. How about no coffee? But I like coffee. I like coffee. I do have hot cocoa mix though, because it's relatively cool out. I was expecting that I'd be able to swap to iced coffee soon, but nope. It's cold again. Well, it's cold for what I'm used to as someone who lives in very sunny, mild California. Yeah, I'm not sure if, because if I do light coming forward, let's see. Peanuts instead of ears. Yeah, he told us to think of them like peanuts. I can't remember a whole lot from that art. It was like a full week thing that my parents sent me to. Yeah, I really don't remember very much other than that and like a little drawing exercise. I wonder if I can remember. Here, let's do this. Because if I'm remembering correctly, and I think I was relatively young. I want to say I was maybe 10 or 11. I was pretty young. But I remember basically there was like this little box. There's a little box, and it was kind of like a workbook that you would work in, and no, my goodness. Here, fine, we'll do it this way. That looks horrible. That also looks horrible. Basically, there was like this little sun. So this is the sun. And the quote-unquote exercise, and I remember not really understanding why we were wasting time doing this exercise, because I thought it was really easy, boring. So I don't know if I necessarily learned anything from it, but I just remember being kind of annoyed by it, because again, kind of already pre-printed into the book itself was kind of like these ovals like this. And then as you like went further down the little booklet page, the ovals would get lighter until there weren't, like down here, there weren't any ovals at all. And what you were supposed to do is you color, like, let's see. Basically color in that whole thing, and then you would use whatever your color. I'm pretty sure this was some sort of lesson about complementary colors, so they were having you use like purple and yellow to do this or whatever, but it was basically trying to teach you that the way that you could put like a water, like the reflection of the sun on the water, was just by staggering these little ovals, kind of like a brick wall, and it just had you do that like all the way down to like show you how to do like a reflection on the water or something. I thought it was really stupid. That's that and the peanut ears. That's all I remember. That, and that he would talk a lot about how important it was that you practiced every day. Can't say I learned a whole lot from it. Oh, that, and he shamed people for drawing characters with their hands behind their backs because they didn't want to draw hands. So he did make you do the exercise where you have your, like, whatever your non-dominant hand is. In my case, it's my left hand. Put your left hand down in front of you, and then you have to draw it. He made us do that, I think, like once a day. Hands are evil. Yeah, hands are super hard. Those hands are freaking stunning, by the way. Thank you so much. It does seem like a working tutorial on drawing the reflection. Yeah, it's definitely for beginners, I think. I was a kid, so it was very much geared towards, I think, kids and young teenagers. What are they, preteens? There's a word that I'm thinking of. Anyways, when I get home after a long day and lay my head in front of my cat, he dips and licks my fur. That's cute. A little welcome home blessing. I'm not going to do more than that because I don't know if I'm going to keep him a silhouette or not. So we'll just see. But I would have that because his head is blocking some of the light. He would have and don't ask me where his other hand is either. I don't know. He's just got his other hand by his side, probably. It's probably, you know, maybe it's holding his cane. Maybe he's like he's got his cane like back there, so like his hand is down there holding it or whatever. I don't know. Never actually been to an art lesson. My school ones were a joke. Oh yeah, same. The art classes in my actual like high school were always horrible. Somehow I have no problem drawing paw hands for furry. See, those are tricky to me. I struggle a lot to wrap my brain around those because I've seen artists who do paws, but also like humanoid hands, but that have like a little toe beans, like little furries. It's very cute, and I have no idea how they do it. Furry artists are crazy, another breed, gods among mere men. You look so cool and intimidating. Thank you. he's having a fun time. I'll be excited for people to read more of him going forward now that we've got volume 1. That hand was a bunny. Water. Hold, please. I don't think I want him to have his hat. I think I do prefer him having his head bare, that way you can see the entire halo instead of his hat on. Yes. I don't think I want to have his sash showing, at least not in like bright gold, because I don't really want to take away from Bronte. So like his natural waist would be like here-ish. So you'd see not very much of it. See, like, yeah, no, I already don't like that. It makes it too busy. Let's see, where are my lines? I don't know what she's going to be wearing, or if she's actually going to be wearing anything. I didn't really think that far ahead. Cyril's easy because he's always wearing his cassock, or like maybe if I want to shake it up a little bit, he'll just be wearing his white shirt and stuff. But Bronte, I'm like, she could be wearing a bunch of different stuff. I'm sure Cyril would love to have her in nothing. He's so cool. Thank you. What do you think about MBTI? Is that the personality thing? Hold on, I have to. I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Okay, yeah. So the 16 personality test. Okay, yeah. I think I took that test when I was in high school, and I got one particular result, and then I took it again. I think my friend group, we all like went through and we took it like a couple years ago, just like for fun. And my words are failing me, but my answer had completely changed. Apparently my personality completely changed. So I don't know about the scientific foundation for it, but I think it's a fun little thing. I don't know how scientific it is, but it is fun. What are we thinking? Should she have her veil on, or should she have her hair out? Because clearly you can tell, like, from all of this over here that I plan to have her hair out. But I don't know. You're straying further away from our beloved lady. Listen, he has absolutely no excuse for his behavior. Just wait until you read volume 2. Ankles out all over the place. Hair out. Okay. We'll keep going with this sketch though, and we'll see how I feel about it. Because Bronte's hair. So okay, here let me. Bronte's hair normally, when she's wearing her veil or when she's got her hair braided like for bedtime, she parts it in the middle, which is fine because I would be doing that either way. But usually her hair will kind of be coming forward in front of her face. And I want well, I don't know what I want exactly yet, but I try to avoid having her hair and Cyril's gloved hand. Oh my god, my voice is really struggling. I'm so sorry. I try to avoid having her hair and Cyril's hand entangled too much because his hand, the glove, is very dark and so is her hair. And I really like the contrast of his hand being against her skin, which is quite fair. So I was kind of thinking I would have her hair kind of going this way, like back from her head instead of her normal kind of forward. But her hair kind of coming forward and framing her face in that very particular way is just part of what makes her look like herself. So I don't know. I mean, and I can always tweak it with coloring to make her hair darker or his hand darker or whatever. But I asked another streamer about MBTI and he said, that's stupid. All these psycho tests are weird. You can't shove people into boxes and expect them to all be the same. People change over. Yeah, people do change over time. I mean, obviously, like I said, my result that I get from that test changed over time. It definitely changed from when I first took it in high school to now as an adult. But I mean, I don't know. If you don't weigh it too heavily, then I don't see any harm in it. It could potentially help somebody if they're like, I don't take them so seriously in the sense of like, oh, what's a good career for you? Like, no, like, bugger off. I'm not relying on a test to tell me what career I should have, because every single time I take one of those tests, they're like, you should be a professional artist. I'm like, no, no, I should not. I like what I do at work, and that's actually what pays the bills. I don't want to be an artist. So yeah, I don't put too much stock in them in that sense, but if there's maybe stuff about personality and how you can kind of navigate how your brain is working at a given time, then sure, that's fine. But also just go see a therapist maybe. The way a clock that you are. Yeah, every single time I've taken one of those tests, we have a military recruiting test that a lot of schools take that's supposed to, quote unquote, the way that they sell it is that, oh, it helps kids find their strengths for their careers, but really what it is they're recruiting for the military. But I remember I took that and they're like, yep, nope, you shouldn't join the military. You're just an artsy loser. I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. Thank you so much. Every time I take one of those like career or personality or strengths test, they're always like, "Yep, you're an artist. Go enjoy being broke." It's like, okay, sure, whatever. So I don't pay too much attention to any of those because what I care about in like a personal fulfillment sense is completely different from my business and paying the bills sense. So if you give me a personality test, yes, obviously the thing that matters the most to me is being able to create and being able to tell the stories that I want to tell. So obviously a test that's designed to ask those things is going to pick up on that. But no, I just because that's how I answer the test for that doesn't mean I'm incapable of making business decisions. There's a reason I work the job that I do. It's just very silly. Bit off topic. Have you read or played The Witcher? I have not read The Witcher. I have downloaded one of the games. I have not played it yet. But I have watched a friend who is a very big Witcher fan play through a little bit of one of the games. I can't remember when this was. It was a couple years ago. So I've been orbiting around The Witcher, but I've never personally read or played it. I have a question for everyone. Is it normal in your culture to eat together and spend time together when you eat? I'd say yes. At least, well, it depends, I suppose, on how often. As a kid growing up with my parents, yes, we always had like dinner at the dinner table together. That was a normal thing growing up. Now that we're all adults, we don't do that as much. But we still gather together and eat, or go out to dinner, but usually eat, you know, like at my parents' house or my sister's house. We'll all bring something and we'll eat. But we don't have like a daily, what is it? I forget what it's called in, there's a word or a phrase that is used in French for like the long lunch break where you're expected to, like almost expected, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but it's very normal to have like a long lunch where you are going to be socializing with people and you eat slower because you're socializing and so on and so forth, and that's good for you. We don't really have something like that here in America. I'm sure it varies by family, but at least where I specifically am in my specific life, I don't do that. I mean, sure, but why is it stupid? It's psychology. It's a literal scientific study. I just replied that I like psychology and it makes a lot of sense to me. He ignored my reasoning. It's so interesting that he would ignore your reasoning because one of the most common quips about the MBTI is that it's basically astrology for dudes. I've heard that said so much. A lot of guys that I know really like care about what their MBTI is, but I don't know. I guess it depends on the person, obviously, but I want to read The Witcher. It's peak, not gonna lie. I recommend third game because it's very in-depth with the story and lore. I'm gonna read the book soon. Interesting. Hold on, let me see. I want to see which game I have downloaded because I remember that I was either gifted or I bought it when it was like a couple dollars because it was part of like a Steam sale. So let me see which Witcher game that I have. It looks like I have third game. I'm assuming it's the third game. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I'm assuming that's the third game. I don't know if they have different series with different titles or anything like that. That says I must be a lawyer or a CEO. Yeah, mine just always said you should do something artsy, and like they don't care what, like once people classify you as an artist, they're like, yeah, whatever, you're useless. You're of no benefit to society. Go make your art and cry somewhere. So they don't care. They don't ever give you specifics. They just say like, you should maybe do something with the arts. It's like, okay, thanks, whatever. That doesn't help me at all. As far as I know, I'm not a dude. Have you checked? Okay, yes, it is. It is that game. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Well, I've got it on my machine. I downloaded it at some point, so it's in there. It's just waiting for me to have the time. I've been I've been playing through Elden Ring again recently. I just got to what's it called? Uh Forge of the Giants. I just got to the Forge of the Giants so I can burn the tree and then do Farm Azula. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do that first or if I'm going to do the DLC first. I'll probably do the DLC. I have also played through the DLC twice already, but this is gonna be my third time playing through. Her hair is actually quite long, so I think I'm gonna have it all the way to here. I guess I'm going to make this longer than I originally planned to crop it, but that's okay. I might actually be one of the bros with the way I am. I want to make a living from my art, that's the problem. Yeah, why don't you sell your art is shallow too, because no one tells you how to do it. It's not easy. Yeah, exactly. They don't, those tests are all like, oh, if you want to be an accountant, here's like a list of degrees, and here's like some programs, and here's some certificates you can get, and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, oh, you like art? Go figure it out yourself. Terrible. I don't personally want to make a living from my art. That's not something that I want to do. Well, not something that I want to do in the context of like if I was to do commissions and so on. I wouldn't want to do that because well, yeah, and honestly just in general, I don't think I'd want to make a living from my art because I have previously previously I did take commissions. I used to take commissions, but also, and I can't remember how many years ago this was now, but I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who is a professional artist and someone who makes a living from their artwork. Um, and she was talking to me, and I forget what we were were kind of talking, we were talking about Cyril, and it was just kind of talking about our current projects and so on, and I was talking about Cyril because I was working on like a drawing of him, or I was writing, or whatever I was doing at the time. And she was just kind of listening to me talk about what I was working on, and she made a comment that has really stuck with me, which I can't remember verbatim off the top of my head exactly what it was, but she basically made the comment of, it's really nice to hear you talk about your work because you're so passionate about it and because you very clearly care deeply about it. And she said that she was envious of me because she had lost that over the course of years of doing her art as a business, because when you're running something as a business, your dynamic with it inherently changes. And she was just talking about how she envied me for not having the pressure of having to make money from whatever it is that I'm creating, which obviously is different for everyone, but you know, some people don't experience that. But I don't know, it really stuck with me because at that point I had been taking commissions and kind of had been growing fatigued of it, and her kind of saying that was one of the things that made me realize, I'm like, oh, you know what, I think it might be good for me to pause and think about what dynamic I want to have with my art and my creative work in general, and whether or not that's the direction I want to go. And by direction, I mean having my art be my primary source of income. And that is ultimately one of the things, but it was kind of like the spark, I guess, for me deciding that I don't want to pursue art as part of a career or like an income. I want to keep it a hobby because that's the way that I get the most personal fulfillment from it. So that's how I ended up where I am. That's why everything is still a hobby, no matter how much people try to shame me or guilt me for not treating self-publishing like a business. I'm never going to treat it as a business. You cannot make me. I refuse to do it. Witcher has different endings, and man, the vibe slaps so hard. You got a decent PC, the game is gorgeous. Oh, that's good to know. I didn't realize that it had different endings. For some reason I thought it was a very linear progression. I actually caved and downloaded a presumably find friends based on MTI. I got bombarded by men. Oh no. After posting a heartfelt story, was overwhelmed and disappeared. Oh goodness. Oh dear. I get ya. I want to enjoy doing my OC art, and that kind of feels like a lot sometimes. Yeah, and it's different for everybody. Not everyone is going to feel the way I feel or the way that my friend felt when she kind of made that comment about how she was envious of me because I had this passion for my work that she wasn't feeling at that moment. But yeah, it was definitely one of the more eye-opening, I guess, conversations of my life. And even though people still harass me about it, I am happy with my decision to keep things as a hobby. And if people happen to stumble across them in the wilds of the internet and they like them, that's wonderful. great you understood it before you started selling your works. Yeah, I remember I would take commissions very rarely. The last time I took commissions was when I was laid off from my job and I panicked and I needed money in case I could not find another job. I actually ended up finding a job, which is the job that I have now. I found that job before the end date of my job came. So like I would have been fine. But as soon as I was told that I was going to be laid off and that our entire team was being laid off, I immediately panicked and opened up commissions again, and I just immediately was like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like this. Not because it's not fun to draw other people's characters and their designs, because it is really fun to draw something that isn't from my own mind. And I remember a lot of the people who commissioned me had these, really fun, interesting character ideas that were very different from what I would have come up with. But it was just this idea of, oh, now it's a business. Now you're doing it because you need money, and that's a totally different dynamic. And I did not enjoy it. I would not want to go back to that if I had the choice. Funny enough, one time I did have someone commission me just to draw Cyril. I was like, you know what? Okay, I can vibe with that, I guess. I can't really line her titties because YouTube will get mad at me. So we'll just pretend that she has a dress on, so YouTube doesn't get mad at me. Let me pay you to draw your own OC. Yeah, yeah. They had me draw Cyril in like a modern, um, like double-breasted pinstripe suit. And I was like, you know what? I can vibe with that. Sure. I'll give him some modern clothes. Why not? People were like, "You're so sweet. I want to talk to you and get to know you on a personal level." Why are you replying for 2 hours? Are you all right, dude? No, I'm terrified. I I like what I call medium talk. I don't like small talk. I do like getting to know people, but man, you need to be like fine with me not replying for a bit because I have a life outside of my phone or my computer or whatever that I'm like typing on. I have things I gotta do. I have dishes in the sink I need to wash. I'm not gonna be available 24/7. I'm wondering if I want to add some pressure marks, I guess, for lack of a better word, to kind of insinuate that he's kind of pressing his thumb like into her cheek a little bit. I'm not sure. What time is it? It is 1 o'clock. I will probably kind of color in, quote unquote, her hair, and then I'm going to call it a day because I do, quite literally, have dishes in the sink that I need to wash. And in general, I have stuff I need to work on today. On Wednesday, I couldn't stop crying for 1 hour because of how done I was. Though. Oh my goodness. Let's avoid those spaces wherever you're getting bombarded with messages. Sorry, I go really quiet when I focus on drawing. Hair is always just really Bronte's hair in particular is very fun to draw because I really like the texture of it. Cyril's hair is fine, but you know hers is better. I'd also like to avoid work chats, please and thank you. Yeah, same. I refuse to put Teams on my phone. That's what we use to send messages at work. I refuse to put it on my phone so people can't get a hold of me when it's not work hours. If I get promoted to assistant manager, though, I'm probably gonna have to do that. Bronte is such a diva, she might understand that one day. Maybe. There we go. That's where I'm gonna leave it for today. Now I have to get back to work. And the dishes in the sink. But I will sort out some lunch first. Lunch sounds good. Lunch and a nice afternoon coffee should get me through the rest of the day. Thank you very much for coming to stream. Sorry, I'm very out of it. Hopefully once my new batch of medication arrives that will hopefully not have this particular thingy in it that is making me feel so horrible. Ironically, they added a thingy to it that's supposed to prevent or like help minimize potential nausea, and it's like, congratulations, it has the worst opposite effect on me. My chair is very squeaky as I'm standing up. But thank you for coming. I hope you guys had a good time. It's always a pleasure to host you and chat with you guys. Thank you so much for being so kind and being so lovely to talk to. It really is a wonderful part of my routine, so I'm glad I was able to do it this week. I will see you guys next time I stream 11 a.m., which, yes, is now an hour earlier for a lot of people. I stream 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every other Sunday. I hope you can make it. I will see you guys next time. Have a good rest of your weekend.